The FDA is the ones that have said it's okay for you to donate twice a week.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but the FDA approving something doesn't move the needle at all for me. Welcome back to BetterWealth Reacts. My name is Caleb Williams, and on today's video, we're going to be reacting and trying to answer the question, should you put your body on the line and donate plasma for money? We're going to look at how much money you can make by donating plasma, the pros and cons, is there health consequences? I'm going to give my final thoughts at the end of this video, and I'm actually going to react to two videos. This video is super well done. It's less than 5 minutes long, and he just gives like the business proposition of like the pros and some potential cons of like of donating plasma. And then we are also going to react to another video. I've only taken a few minutes from this video, but it's a pro plasma donor. I mean, he's given over 100 times, and he is making this video addressing some of the potential negative effects. So without further ado, we're going to jump in, try to answer the question, would you donate your plasma? Let's jump in.
Donating blood plasma, while being a pretty extreme side hustle, is also a fairly profitable one. You can make up to $1,000 a month, and in some cases even more. But there are some serious things to consider before getting started. Here's what you need to know. What is blood plasma? First of all, you should know blood plasma is not the same as a regular blood donation. Plasma is the liquid component of your blood that comprises about 55% of its volume. It's made up of proteins that are crucial to helping your body fend off infection. Plasma is also unique in that it regenerates pretty quickly. Because of this, people can donate it on a fairly regular basis. Donated plasma is used to provide therapies and treatments for people who have a number of serious diseases, one of the most noteworthy being hemophilia. It's also used to treat shock, burns, and other types of physical trauma. Booking an appointment. It just takes a quick Google search to find a blood plasma donation center near you. After you've found a reputable location, getting started is as easy as booking an appointment. Most plasma centers are open Monday through Saturday during regular business hours. Just expect to spend at least 2 to 3 hours during your first appointment. You're going to have to undergo a physical and fill out a lot of paperwork. The whole process can be pretty tedious, but given the monetary rewards involved and the importance of finding healthy donors, there are a lot of legal requirements that the donation center has to satisfy. Fortunately, you can complete most of these requirements during your first visit, after which point you should be able to donate with less hassle in the future. Before you donate. The night before you donate, you should make sure you get plenty of sleep. It's also important not to consume any alcohol for 24 hours before donating. On the day of your appointment, you want to have a hearty meal, but experts say to avoid caffeine. Within a few hours of your appointment, be sure to drink supplements.
That could be a benefit. Don't consume alcohol. That there could be some benefits of being intentional by not having an unhealthy lifestyle. Like get sleep, don't consume alcohol. There could be some side effects that are actually good, but if you do this.
Last but not least, be sure to bring some form of photo ID as you would for any medical appointment. The donation process. During the donation, a needle is going to be placed into a vein in your arm. Your blood will then be collected, and a machine will separate the plasma from the other ingredients of your blood.
I hate needles, which may bleed into my response at the end, no pun intended.
Such as the red and white blood cells and platelets. These other parts of your blood will eventually be filtered back into your body through the same IV in a process known as plasmapheresis. During the donation process, you'll sit reclined in a chair with your feet up. Your arm will be somewhat limited during the donation process, but you will be able to relax and read a book or watch TV. It can take about an hour or two, as the donation process is a bit more complicated than a standard blood donation. After it's complete, you'll typically receive a drink or a snack to help restore your energy. However, you may continue feeling dehydrated or fatigued for another day or two, so you may need to take it easy and prioritize rest and hydration following your appointment. Side effects of donating plasma. While donating plasma is a mostly safe process, there are a few side effects to look out for. As mentioned, donating plasma can cause dehydration and fatigue. These two are fairly common and minor.
And by the way, like, again, not a doctor, but dehydration and fatigue could create massive ripple effects if they're not addressed. The more I'm a nerd when it comes to like some health stuff, and I'm just really, if there's something that I can do to make me be better as a human, I want to do it. And I've been really spending time on like how I can better hydrate. I actually put salt in my water, and before you call me crazy, like there's a lot of studies that say like you can actually get better hydration if you're adding some things to your water, because we have a pretty good filter system. But the negative effect of filtering is you might not be hydrating well if you add certain things. And the only point I'm making is like I'm really reading up on the importance of hydration and how that can affect almost all areas of our life. And some people call it the number one health hack is to be hydrated. So all that to say, like some of this dehydration and fatigue, being tired, like you could argue that being well rested is another amazing thing for your body. And why does your body need rest? So all that to say, just some interesting things.
I've also experienced things like fainting, lightheadedness, and dizzy spells. More serious, albeit rare side effects include infection, adverse reactions, and arterial puncture, which are usually avoided if you go to a reputable and experienced donation center. Dangers of donating plasma. Beyond common side effects, there are some dangers of plasma donation that everyone should be aware of. The primary danger is donating plasma too frequently. It's understandable that if you're getting paid for it, you'd be donating plasma as often as you're able to. However, experts warn that some plasma centers may allow donors to participate too often, as much as 2 times per week, which can put them at risk for more serious side effects. Instead, these experts recommend a more infrequent donation schedule of about once every 2 weeks. Again, a reputable donation center will be able to advise you on what is appropriate, but it's something that all donors should be conscious of. Hygiene can also be a massive risk, as centers that don't follow the appropriate protocols could easily spread bloodborne diseases across patients.
Yeah, to be fair, this could be a problem, but if you're working with a legit company, like if you have to worry about hygiene or them getting you getting an infection and stuff, like I believe that's a risk, but those companies would not be along or around for a while. And if there's one thing I won't throw tomatoes at is I think the professionalism would be probably pretty top notch. So while that is something you have to be aware, I've only heard nothing but amazing things from the people that I've worked with, and I've never heard a single thing about, you're afraid that like, oh, is this a new needle coming in? It's like that's never been in question.
How much can you earn donating plasma? While the Red Cross doesn't pay for plasma donations, some companies do compensate their donors. The amount of cash you can earn varies, but according to their websites, CSL Plasma and Grifols Plasma indicates that their donors can earn up to $1,000 a month. By the looks of it, as long as you find a reputable donation center and don't push yourself to donate too often, donating plasma can be a perfectly safe side hustle to earn some extra money. Not to mention the fact that you can also help those in need of blood plasma in the process.
Are you sold yet? Are you sold? I think let me just talk about some of the pros before we go into potential long-term effects by someone who's pro plasma, by the way. This is the big pro that I would say is, if you're someone that wants a side hustle, you're someone like, we live in a society where we all have smartphones, we all like can do things while we're waiting. So from a time perspective, I think it's awesome. You could potentially get $1,000 a month, and I know people that have gotten paid more. They stretched it. They didn't, and they got like certain bonuses because I think BioLife was what they were going to, was like giving them incentives and all that stuff, which again, you got to be really careful. But their whole deal is like, hey, Caleb, I just like watched a movie or read a book or worked on a side hustle while I'm literally making money. By the way, none of them did it because of the goodness of their heart. Like, oh, I want to save people. Although it's a nice feeling to say, okay, my plasma is going towards the commercialized drug companies. That's a whole nother video. But all that to say, like, I get it. And so those are some of the pros. My big thing is, if it takes away from my health, short term or long term, it's a no-go. Like it's a no-go. Especially for someone who believes your greatest asset is your ability to think, how you show up, your energy. And for those of you that have experienced the difference between having a lot of energy and a little energy, like I put a massive price tag on that, especially if you're entrepreneurial watching this, so that you could literally justify saying, why would I go for $1,000 or even $2,000 a month? But if that's sucking my ability to create more value or create more. So if you're entrepreneurial, you can, whether it's plasma or something else, you be very, very careful of what's energy giving and what's energy sucking. And if you have energy suckers, run. And so the real question is, again, is there risk side effects? And for that, I'm going to be playing another video. I looked at many videos in preparing for this BetterWealth reaction. And this guy, Zach Johnson, he's documented his plasma journey, but a lot of people watching were like, okay, all right, Zach, like, is this healthy? Like, what are some of the effects? And so for the first 7 minutes, he kind of gives his his story and all that stuff, and then he jumps into some of the side effects, and we're going to jump in. So without further ado, let's see part 2 of, is there side effects to plasma?
Twice a week, no more than twice in 48 hours. So you do have to have separation there. But the FDA is the ones that have said it's okay for you to donate twice a week.
I don't want to be a conspiracy theorist, but the FDA approving something doesn't move the needle at all for me, quite frankly. I know I might offend some people. My dad's in the medical industry, a lot of respect, but it's like the FDA approves a drug company to do their thing. It's like, okay, that's awesome. I want more research.
And that's a lot. And so people are concerned, well, if I continue doing that for a long period of time, is that going to put me at greater risk for complications down the road? So this is tricky, because I have not found, and I've done some substantial research. If anybody has found long-term side effects articles, mention them in the comments. I found a couple things here that I want to share with you, but apparently there's still research that needs to be done on that. For me, as somebody that's donated a lot, I don't have any long-term side effects that I can attribute to it. I will say I definitely have a permanent scar from doing it because I've always done the same arm in the same spot. So you could probably avoid that if you go less often or rotate where you.
I also like to think, when I think of long term, I think of long term, like 20, 30 years from now. And those are really hard studies to look at, because it's like, are we going to just wait for the next 30 years before advancements? The answer is no. So I even, like, this guy doesn't look that old. And he's like, well, I don't have long term side effects. Well, long term might be a year for you. I'm looking like, is there 20, 30 years out?
Have the needle inserted. But yeah, I have a scar. It doesn't bother me. Some people are worried about that, though, so keep that in mind. One thing that CS site does say that I think is very relevant and important to be aware of, especially with, the epidemic going on, the pandemic going on, is that for donors who donate frequently or for an extended amount of time, there is risk for depleting immunoglobulin levels, which can lower the ability to fight off infections. So this can affect your immune system. And if you're concerned about, COVID and getting that, then, or you have family members you don't want to, introduce to that virus, then that's something to be aware of, that you can lower your immune system doing this. The other thing,
again, is that a deal breaker for you? Like, if something is said, well, it's totally fine, but you just have a lower immunity. I mean, last I checked, immunity is our ability to fight off sickness.
People are worried about is anemia, lowering the iron levels in your blood, just lowering protein levels in your plasma. And it's true, when you remove plasma and replace it with saline, obviously there's things that need to be replenished. But hydrating well, eating a healthy diet, getting good protein in your diet does replenish that really quickly. They did a study on some horses that, doing intense plasmapheresis, like over a short period of time, it did show that those levels in these horses dropped, but it wasn't relevant, or it wasn't at least significant to these horses physiologically. It didn't make a significant impact, though.
I don't know if race horses are giving plasma, though.
Was a drop there. So, I mean, take that for what it's worth. It might lower those things in you, but if you're eating healthy, it shouldn't make a difference. One more thing I'll share with you, well, a couple more things, I guess. I found some really great articles. I'm going to link these below. There's a really good PDF here. It's called The Standard for Surveillance of Complications Related to Blood Donation. This also includes plasma donation. They're very similar. But this basically outlines all of the different common effects and risks that can happen, including the citrate reaction and air embolism, some of the things that are kind of more scary, but much more rare. So that'll be a good thing for you to be able to look over. There's also an old research article I found. I think it's from 1970, so it's a little out of date, but it talks about the long-term effects of plasmapheresis. And right off the bat, it says, no consistent clinical or laboratory value abnormalities were found during more than 6 years of plasmapheresis of donors who gave as much as the plasma equivalent of 4 units of whole blood per week. So it talks about there are potential hazards, including hemoglobin depletion, protein depletion, iron depletion. There are some of those hazards, but they're very minimal, and the long-term effects over 6 years were not significant. That's from 1970, so that's a little out of date. And again, this last article that I'm going to link below, says that there is more research that needs to be done. And this is the most alarming to me. So it says, overall, this is the conclusion of this research article. Overall, apheresis donations performed on cell separators are safe and have acute reaction rates less than those seen with whole blood donation, though the frequency of reactions requiring hospitalization appears to be greater. The acute effects of donation are relatively mild and easily treated. Recent evidence suggests, however, that repeated apheresis donation may produce adverse long-term effects in donors, such as bone demineralization and cataract formation. Additional research is needed to ascertain the risks of long-term apheresis donation. So that's kind of freaky. That's a little concerning. Those two things do not sound good, are not good. So if that concerns you, then don't donate plasma at least as often as possible, or just be aware of that before you go into it.
So I think we can all say that Zach did a phenomenal job. I'll link, like always, the content down below so that you guys can check out more of their resources, give them some love. But overall, I appreciate how he walks through. The whole video is super well done. And here's what I'll say is, well, there's no shot. There's no shot that I'm doing something that could be a negative effect on my body. Now, the the thing that I'll just take a step back is I've known two people well that did plasma. They were all in plasma. I think that you get like referral fees or something if you can recruit people, and they were trying to recruit me, and I hate needles, so it's like I'm out already. But they both stopped doing it mainly because, again, they both were like, one of my friends was pretty young. He was a couple years older than me. He just was like, he played a lot of ultimate frisbee. He like got out of breath, and he could tell like, oh, I don't have as much energy. And I think that was a little bit freaky to him because he's like, I'm like 23 years old and I should have a lot more energy. And then vice versa, the other person that was donating, and they both did it a lot. So that, I think there might be a common theme here. He also was like kind of stopped doing it because he kind of saw some things. And again, it's not like you can say, oh, because the plasma, it could be placebo. There could be a lot of effects to it. But I think in everything, the common big theme here is what you're doing, is the inputs of that you're spending your time, especially, is it like adding energy? Is it adding potential? Is it adding certain things to your life, or is it taking away? Because, the same person will say, oh, I'm not going to donate plasma, but I'll go out and drink and have a few, drinks that aren't good for your body. So I think in everything that you do, you need to look at the whole spectrum and say, okay, if I donate a couple times a month versus twice a week, there could be a difference there. And then also, I would love an update. Like, if you guys donate plasma, let me know how much you make. Like, because again, here's what I'm thinking. This is what's exciting about it, is you're not only getting paid, but you're sitting still. You could spend time and think. So you could double dip, getting paid and also be thinking and making moves. I don't know if you can talk on the phone, but for many people, it just adds to a potential lifestyle. But in the moment that it's not good for my health, I'm out. There's no amount of money essentially that I would pay, or I would have to get paid a ton of money for effects in health. But there's certain things like, maybe I'll react to the business of boxing someday, or UFC. Like, I'm grateful for people that are putting their body on the line, but like, it's scary when you start seeing trauma to the head and all that. And it's just like, man, there's no shot. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching a BetterWealth reaction. And like always, love to hear your thoughts. Please share, please like, and we'll see you tomorrow.